Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my ranking of all the films I saw in theaters in August 2018. Every month, I rank all of the new releases that I see theatrically in said month. And here we are in August. In total, I got to see 16 movies in the theaters for the first time. I did also see 2001 A Space Odyssey in IMAX, which was awesome. I did see one of these films multiple times in the theaters, but we're just going on first viewing. First time I ever saw them, first time they were available to me. And that left me with 16 total new films for August's ranking. Now, this is just my personal opinion, my personal ranking, and it's all pretty subjective. So I look forward to hearing your rankings in the comment section down below, but don't get mad, this is just how I feel. So without further ado, let's kick things off. At number 16, aka dead last, we have Slender Man. This film was a very strange concept to begin with. Another example of Hollywood really scraping the bottom of the barrel of cultural phenoms to come up with ideas for movies. We had emojis, now we have the whole Slender Man nonsense. That's about 5 years too late, I think. But the film itself was just an amateur-esque mess. It was just boring, in my opinion. It wasn't even laughably bad to me. I couldn't even have fun with it in that way. I just found it to be bland, to be boring, completely and totally void of any sort of scares, horrible effects, not so good acting, a terrible script, and just a derivative storyline, ripping off of such masterpieces as The Bye-Bye Man and Rings from 2017. Oof. This was a clear last place with Slender Man. At number 15, I have The Darkest Minds. Another slog, if I'm being honest. It brought literally nothing new, interesting, innovative, fun to the young adult genre. The plot, again, recycled, The Chosen One, the plot that we see in literally every single other YA adaptation. The acting was solid. They did as much as they could with what they were given. And the effects looked good enough. They looked alright, but the story was just so bland, so boring. The forced romance was eye-roll worthy. The villain was just absolutely terrible. This movie didn't feel necessary anymore. We've seen it done better over and over and over again. It didn't even live up to my expectations of X-Men Light. At number 14, I have Dog Days. This has a much higher Rotten Tomatoes score than I ever imagined, because I just don't think it was very good. There are cute dogs, and the cute dogs do their darndest to save this film, to elevate the human material. Unfortunately, I just didn't really care about the human characters. I didn't care about these little sub-romances that were littered throughout the film. It reminded me of something like New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day without near the star power or even glossy sheen over the top of it. I had cute messages to say about dogs overall, but there just weren't enough cute dogs to really lift this film for me. I know I'm not the target audience when it comes to the romance segment of the movie, but I am the target audience when it comes to cute animals, in particular dogs, and this movie just did nothing for me. At number 13, I have The Happy Time Murders. What a disappointment. I actually, personally, was looking forward to this film. I think Melissa McCarthy is funny, much funnier than she's given online credit for. She has mostly solid films in my book, and her interacting with like raunchy R-rated Muppets, sounded like a good time with a lot of laughs. Except it wasn't a good time and there were very few laughs. And that was the big problem. This was a gimmick stretched out to a feature length. A one-trick pony that didn't bother that thought it didn't need to develop things like characters or storylines or plots to write actual jokes. It just relied on its gimmick, its one little trick. Melissa McCarthy didn't even really get the chance to flex her own comedic style and muscle. There were a couple of laughs, most of which I thought included Melissa McCarthy, and at the beginning of the film, while the concept is still somewhat fresh, it is entertaining enough. But it was just so childish and stupid that I was really, really let down with the Happy Time Murders. It just wasn't very good. At number 12, I have Kin. Another slog. This was just another really, really boring movie. A road trip family drama disguised as some sort of alien-esque sci-fi young adult film. Thankfully, there's an awesome gun and a cool sequence here, cool sequence there to really help give this film a little bit of a jolt. Plus, we do have some solid performances from most all of our actors, but we have so many storylines going on. James Franco and his storyline are just annoying and unnecessary. All of the family nonsense and drama was just unnecessary. We should have been focusing on what does a kid do when he finds an awesome alien gun, not, hey, let's take the kid into a strip club, or hey, let's have the kid rob people at gunpoint. What? At number 11, I have Mile 22. The clear worst film from collaborators Mark Wahlberg and director Peter Berg. Mile 22 had the potential. It had places it could have gone, and we saw glimpses of that. I think the action set pieces were fun. Oh, wait, except I couldn't actually tell what was going on. But not just in the action. I want to say that the editing in all aspects of this film is atrocious. The editing work done on this movie was so bad that I don't think whoever edited the film should probably be hired again. It was really that bad. But Peter Berg, you weren't that much better as a director. And the writing? Oh, terrible. Like, the script on this movie was absolutely horrible. Now, the acting was whatever, honestly. The story tried some things. You could tell Peter Berg was trying some new stuff. But at this point, I'm confident in saying, Berg, stick to adapting true stories, because this original stuff didn't work for you. At number 10, I have AXL, or Axel, the robot dog movie. One of several dog-themed movies to come out in the month of August. I actually don't think this was all that bad. It wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. I would put this just a smidge above last year's Monster Truck, which I also thought was better than anticipated. Not good, certainly, but not the complete dumpster fire that I had thought it would be. Axel's fine. It's just completely and totally derivative and unoriginal. Our lead is not charismatic at all. Becky G, I guess, is fine in her role. And I did think that the robot dog had some cute personality, and they actually did bring this robotic dog to life. But having a robotic dog, you lost that sense of connection that you get with so many other films, including one that's coming up a little bit later on this list. It runs by the formula of a Monster Truck, of a Mighty Joe Young or Peach Dragon, where human discovers dog, animal, creature that shouldn't be here and basically falls in love with them, basically grows this connection and needs and wants to protect them. When it's a robot, you lose a whole lot of that sentimentality. I will say, I think it got effective when we hit that emotional moment. I do think it was shot well. The movie looks good. I think it's competent. But then you look at the dog and you're like, this is a military dog? Why are its joints so freaking loud? Like, I'd be able to hear that on the battlefield miles away. It's so loud. And the dog didn't actually seem all that effective as a military dog. It's supposed to be like an elite killer, and I was like, oh, well, y'all failed. You might as well let the kid keep the dog, because this was a failed experiment. But really, it's just kind of a nothing movie. It's a movie that's fine. It's a perfectly nice, lovely little rental. Not horrible, but it's just kind of there. So that there ends up being number 10. At number 9, I have The Meg. When The Meg swings for the fences, I think it hits it out of the park. When it really embraces its campiness, when it embraces the ridiculous nature of what it is it's presenting, when it lets Jason Statham let loose and have fun, lets all of our characters have fun, and lets us get that Megalodon, it's a lot of fun and a really fun, cool movie. However, for about the first half of the film, it takes itself way too seriously. We're talking a bunch of science mumbo jumbo. It sets up a whole lot of stories for cliched characters. It's not like we're breaking mold here. And the little girl basically steals the show. Add in some forced romance, and you have a number 9 kind of film. At number 8, I have Operation Finale. A perfectly serviceable film that tells a very important story and brings a new life, a new perspective to this incredibly important story, anchored by some fantastic performances from both Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley, as well as so many of our supporting characters. I thought the dialogue was really good, and the scenes just with Kingsley and Isaac together were fantastic. However, so much of the film kind of felt stale, if you will. The cinematography and the camera work in general wane in and out of looking good to being very amateur. The direction doesn't do anything, if I'm being honest. It all just kind of fell flat on that front. And it reminds me a lot of Chappaquiddick from earlier this year, a film that I think is perfectly good, a very solid film, but one that really reaches for that greatness and falls short. So I put it here at number 8. At number 7, I have Alpha. This movie had no business being as enjoyable as it was. Alpha was another nice, pleasant little surprise and my favorite dog film to come out in the month of August. The relationship between this boy and this wolf is what keeps this entire movie going. Their bond feels authentic, it feels real. They take time to really develop the wolf as their own character, and they really keep her as a wolf. Alpha is a wolf that then slowly works her way into feeling like the domesticated canine friends we have of modern day. Plus, the movie looks fantastic. Colored me shocked when I first sat down and those opening scenes started rolling, because I thought this would look terrible, but they put a lot of money into this movie and it all went to those visuals because they look really, really good. Down to the animals and wolves themselves, it all looked beautiful. The cinematography was also gorgeous, and you have to respect a family film aimed at all ages that literally has 0 words in English. It is all subtitled. It's not actually all that new of a story. It goes by a plot we've seen many times before, but it does execute it mostly well. I do think that the beginning drags a bit too much, and the boy-wolf conflict, and thus the reunion, did not work for me, actually, at all, and was by far the weakest moment of this entire film. But I think Alpha is actually a pleasant, little enjoyable film. At number 6, I have Crazy Rich Asians. It feels very strange for me to put a film that I watched 3 times in the theaters all the way down at number 6, but I do it for the diversity. I need to support films that matter, films that are breaking a mold and will hopefully help push us forward in Hollywood. Having said that, the culture is why Crazy Rich Asians works as well as it did for me. Singapore is absolutely stunning. And if nothing else, this film served as travel agent extraordinaire. Good marketing for the country of Singapore, because I was ready to hop on a plane and jet over immediately. It just looked so amazing. But for a romantic comedy, the most important aspect really is the chemistry between the two romantic leads. And our leads here were fantastic. Constance Wu was great in the movie. She's so personable, she's beautiful, and she comes across really, really well on screen. And then we have Henry Golding, who is just like swoon worthy, so hunky, so attractive, but also very warm, very likable. And the two of them played off each other so well, you completely believe their chemistry. Go figure. And they really were the heart of this film. Michelle Yeoh was amazing in this movie as well. And those repeat viewings actually helped me to realize just how strong her performance is. I think it is definitely the best performance in this film, filled with layers and subtlety that are so hard to accomplish in a film such as a romantic comedy. But this film looks gorgeous. That wedding is absolutely stunning. There are laughs to be had, and it is a very enjoyable movie. And if you are into romantic comedies, this is probably the best one we've had in years. Having said that, it is still a romantic comedy, and it plays beat by beat like every other romantic comedy, just this time featuring a new culture and face. I do think there are some weird, like, sexual harassment style moments in the film. Some boy taking unsolicited pictures of women, and then the women just laugh. It was that scene actually strikes me as very, very strange. Talking about get up on that, the booty. There also are a lot of jokes made at Constance Wu's appearance that I thought was like, oh, okay, not necessarily empowering. I also question why that Bible reading scene was in the film. Like, why did we need to establish that they were Christians if we're not really going to revisit that, or that's actually not going to play any type of role in the film? Is it to say that they're not Buddhist, so they're cool with being crazy rich? I don't know. Somebody explain it to me down below. But upon further viewings, these were things that really stuck out to me as like, ooh, this is actually a little bit weird. But overall, Crazy Rich Asians is a very fun, very good time, and I'm so happy it is striking gold at the box office, because we do need more representation, and hopefully this film helps push us towards that. At number 5, I have Papillon. Now, full disclosure at this point in time, I have not seen the 1970s original starring Dustin Hoffman. So I don't really have a strong reference point to base a kind of comparison evaluation on. However, I think this film was actually very solid. Charlie Hunnam is really good in this movie. I thought he played his role very well. And then Rami Malek is really delightful as well. All of the acting, from all the minor characters up to our two leads, is really wonderful. And the cinematography, forget about it. It's absolutely stunning. The sets, the locations, the camera work, all add up to just beautiful cinematography with outstanding shots that could be framed throughout the entire film. I also think that the script is really, really strong. Our two leads, as well as the director and the score, really sell beautiful emotional moments well. But it is a slow movie, a very slow and long movie that takes very deliberate time to get through, and it is a very downer kind of film. We don't have many up moments. It feels like every time we even think about taking a step, we're punched in the face and knocked back down on our butts. So it's not a repeat viewing kind of film. It's not a film you go see late at night, but I think it's definitely worth checking out and has really piqued my interest in actually going back and seeing the original. At number 4, I have Christopher Robin. I loved this movie. I think it is just so wonderful. Another film that doesn't really do anything all that original, but just execute what it is it's trying to convey expertly well. The CG on all of our stuffed friends from the 100 Acre Wood is absolutely breathtaking. They look amazing. And the cinematography here is also amazing. The 100-Acre Wood looks gorgeous. But then we get into the city and it looks much more muddled, which I do think is a purposeful decision. Just, add some color in. The characterization of each and every one of the characters, in particular our animated characters, is spectacular. They are all the Winnie the Pooh characters we have come to know and love. My fave Eeyore killed it, had some amazing lines in this movie. And the sentiment and message are gorgeous and they come across beautifully well. What keeps it from moving top 3 for me is I do think Christopher Robin is a little too unlikable, maybe. Pushes it a little bit far. Of course, the end is ridiculous, but it is an all ages type of film. But honestly, I loved watching this movie and I can't wait to revisit it. So, Christopher Robin gets number 4. At number 3, I have Searching. Searching follows in the footsteps of the Unfriended franchise in showing an entire film through the lens of screens. Computer screens and phone screens galore throughout the entirety of the film. But it does it so seamlessly and so well that you forget that you're watching a film that easily could have fallen into gimmick territory. John Cho gives an absolutely fantastic lead performance that really anchors this entire film for me. He sells everything about his character, the story, and having him be on camera for almost the entire movie was a very smart decision because he was just spectacular. Deborah Messing is here, and she is also very, very good. One of the best acting jobs I've seen from her in quite some time. And the story will keep you guessing throughout the entire film. It's a very hard one to nail down, but it's riveting. It keeps you completely hooked in. It has so much to say without ever, not once, shoving in your face modern day culture, modern day friendship culture, connectivity culture, and of course, our relationship and culture within that online media space, social media aspect of it all. And it does it all very, very well while keeping you still very much invested in the actual crime aspects to it, the investigation that we're going through. It is a very thrilling thriller. Now, I do think that the third act wanes. It gets a lot weaker in that third act as we start to unravel the mystery itself. It goes a little bit off of the rails. But the first 2 acts are nearly flawless, and that third act doesn't come unhinged. It's just not quite perfect. But this movie is very good. At number 2, I have The Miseducation of Cameron Post. I purposefully kind of stayed away from the marketing and promotional material for this film. I knew about it, and I knew it had something to do with exploration of sexuality, but I didn't actually really know what it was about. However, it's all about sexuality and sexual identity, because if I were to describe this film in a sentence, it would be that this is the serious, non-campy version of the film, but I'm a cheerleader, which is a good thing. Chloe Grace Moretz is absolutely fantastic in this movie. She holds the entire film down, but really, all of the acting performances in this film are very strong. These kids who are forced into like a pray the gay away camp and house are all so good, and they play their sexuality so subtly and realistically and beautiful. As over the top as some things might seem in the film upon first glance, it all hauntingly feels very real, and it deals with a very real subject matter, and it's nice to get this subject matter put in with a more serious tone after we got that campy tone about the same situation. Script on this movie is absolutely fantastic. All of the dialogue is wonderful, and again, it's all handled with so much finesse and care, and it comes across as believable and real and authentic. I do think that the film drags just a bit and could have done with just a few extra spurts of fun thrown in throughout, a little bit of light levity without the hammer hitting down on you every time, but I do think it was purposeful. I do think the pace was intended, the feeling, the atmosphere was all intended, and it comes across really well overall. So, The Miseducation of Cameron Post is yet another LGBTQ-centered film that delivers in 2018. And at number 1, favorite film that I saw in theaters during the month of August is Black Klansman. I loved this movie. This is one of my favorite films for 2018. Spike Lee is back with one of his best works to date. Certainly his best work over the last 15 years or so. Washington is just wonderful, following right in his father's footsteps. Driver delivers another very strong performance, and the two of them working together was an absolute delight. Topher Grace did very well as well. And the magic of this film is bringing an over-the-top seeming true story to life and balancing out that fun, funny, quirky, crazy humor of it all with the actual consequence and gravity of the situation. Now, I do think it struggles with that just a bit to start off, but it quickly settles in, and once it does, it nails the shifts in tone throughout the movie. It is funny. It is very entertaining. You are never bored. But it is also very, very eye-opening, shocking, and will punch you right in the gut. In particular, that final scene is literally not even a punch in the gut. I think it's a punch straight to your face. Spike Lee expertly crafts so many scenes in this film. The scene in which we have a speaker and we're just seeing these beautiful faces of color with their different textures of hair, their different skin tones, just looking on against a flat black background, I thought was so powerful in such a subtle and inventive, honestly, way. And then we get to my favorite scene of the entire film, in which the Klan are doing their initiation. They go into watching the propaganda film Birth of a Nation. And then we have an activist talking to the basically black student union about civil rights and what he had to endure and the murder he had to see and experience. And it just showed two groups feeling victimized and feeling like they have to fight. But you see where their perspectives are rooted from. And I think that's such a great reminder in 2018 even. And this film took us from the day that this all took place back in the day and really interjected it and showed we've come a lot of way in many aspects, but we still have so much in common with this exact scenario. Now, Spike Lee is not subtle, and this film mostly is not subtle, but there are moments of subtlety in it. I think this film is fantastic. It far exceeded any expectation I had going in and shot straight up the ranks into the top films of 2018 for me personally. And that's why it was my clear number 1 for August. So that is my ranking of the films that I was able to see for the first time in theaters for August 2018. What did you think of how I ranked these films? What do you think of the films included in my ranking? But most importantly, make sure to leave the ranking you have for movies you got to see for the first time in August down below in that comment section, or you can hit me up on Twitter. And if you liked this video and you like these monthly rankings, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!